I'm Emily, and when I was in high school, I became very ill. The doctors at first didn't know what was wrong with me, but later found out that I had several tumors on my spine. They were so huge and painful and putting pressure on my spine. Thankfully, one day I had them removed safely, but by the time that they were able to do so, they had done damage to my spine and I was left paralyzed from the waist down. I was thrown into a depression, and if it wasn't for all my friends and family, I'm not sure how I would have made it through. Their support was so greatly appreciated. Even my boyfriend at the time, Mark, was wonderful. Everyone was lending a hand and making sure that I was comfortable and doing well, but he was the best. He was always there for me, lending me a hand getting ready, and always made sure to give me a shoulder to cry on when I needed it. Mark was always a very empathetic person. It probably came from the fact that he knew what loss felt like. When he was very young, his mother passed away. This made him a very understanding and compassionate person. His father was quite understanding and caring as well. He always made a point of helping me out with things. Every time I went over, the two of them would make sure that if I needed help with anything, that they had me covered.
Hey Emily, tax season is coming up. Did you need help filing your taxes?
Oh, it is. Yes, I could really need some help doing them. I have no idea how to. Both of them were such a great help. But all of that changed after we graduated from college and got married. Mark never changed and only became a better and better partner. But his father began to make cruel comments.
Must you leave your wheelchair in the middle of the room? I nearly tripped over it just now.
I'm sorry, I thought that I had left it out of the way. I'll try to only place it out of the way in the future. I didn't know where this comment was coming from. I had watched him enter the room, and he hadn't even walked anywhere near to where my chair was.
I just can't believe that Mark chose you, especially considering how you're stuck in a wheelchair. Why couldn't he have picked someone normal?
That comment hurt my feelings a lot, but it wasn't the last time that Mark's father would say such a thing, and it hurt just as much every time that he did. As it turned out, he had only been nice to me in the beginning because he liked the attention that he got for being kind to me. But he had always assumed that Mark would move on and find a partner that had functioning legs, that I was just a phase that he would have grown out of. When I told Mark about what his father had said to me, he stormed over to his father's house and had a massive shouting match with him. Afterwards, he told me to just ignore his father from now on, that the best idea was to just cut him out of our lives as much as possible to avoid his hurtful words. Sometime later, a miracle happened, and I became pregnant. We had only begun to try to have children and were overjoyed at how quickly our dream became a reality. At the time, I was ignoring any and all calls from Mark's father. But once he found out that I was pregnant, the calls and messages began to become more frequent.
How dare you ignore my calls? You're my daughter-in-law. I demand that you come over and cook dinner for me. This is an outrage. How dare you continue to ignore my calls? This better not happen when my grandchild is born. There is no way that you will keep my grandchild away from me.
They just kept coming, and I did my best to ignore them, but he wouldn't stop. It got so bad that every time the phone would ring or vibrate, that my heart began to beat fast, as I was worried that it was him harassing me again. More than once, I could have sworn I had seen him lurking in our neighborhood, but I could never confirm it. It almost felt like he was stalking us. Then one day, Mark's father had had enough, and he came over and knocked so hard on the door that I thought that it would break off the hinges. He called out and demanded that I come outside at once to speak with him.
This has gone on long enough. Emily, I demand that you come out here at once and speak to me. You are my daughter-in-law, and you need to show me respect.
Afraid, I messaged my husband. I didn't know if I should comply with his demands. After all, the worst he could do was yell at me since we would be on our front porch and in view of all the neighbors. After a minute, I decided to confront him and I opened the door and went outside. Why are you like this? How can you be so cruel to the mother of your only grandchild?
You have no business speaking to me like that. And why are you even pregnant? How are you supposed to raise a child while stuck in that wheelchair? I have no doubt that you probably don't help out around the house, and that you make Mark do all the work. After all, how are you supposed to cook or clean without working legs?
I saw red. How dare he say such mean things to me, especially since they weren't true. I had learned long ago how to do such things, and I prided myself on keeping a clean and organized home. It was one of the things that Mark truly appreciated about me. He loved coming home to a clean home and a hot meal waiting for him. I knew that my disability didn't hold me back, and for Mark's father to be such a jerk about it made me want to scream at him, but I knew that my neighbors were watching and I didn't want to make a scene.
Why don't you just divorce my son? That way he can find himself a woman with legs that work, and so that he can be a happier person.
I love your son more than anything, and he loves me right back. Please, why won't you just leave us alone? Why are you so cruel? Enraged, he rushed over and grabbed my wheelchair and tried to drag me towards the stairs.
Fine then, if you won't leave willingly. I'll force you to leave.
He pulled with all his might, but I quickly engaged the brakes on my chair, which were very strong. The wheelchair didn't budge, which only made him angrier. Fearing for my baby, I called out for help. Help! Help! When no one came, though, I punched Mark's father in the stomach as hard as I could to get him to stop. He stumbled back and then fell down the stairs. It was only a few steps, but they were made of concrete. Suddenly, Mark showed up, and seeing his father at the bottom of the steps, he called for an ambulance. That night, I told Mark what happened, and he promised me that he believed me, and that he was just relieved that I hadn't been hurt. But I still worried about what his father would do next. The next day, Mark's father showed up along with 2 police officers. We spoke with them on our porch.
This is the woman that assaulted me, officers.
Is this true? Did you attack him?
No, I only punched him because he was trying to throw me down the stairs. It was self-defense. Just then, our next-door neighbor came over.
It's true, officers. I saw what happened, and it was self-defense, as she says. That man tried to hurt her.
The officers nodded and then asked if I wanted to press charges against Mark's father. Mark spoke up for me and said that he did. The look of shock on his father's face was priceless. He had tried to get me arrested and ended up getting himself in trouble instead. From that day forward, we didn't hear from him again. His father did end up getting a light sentence as it was his first offense, so he just had to do a lot of community service and was forced to stay far away from us. Mark does speak with him on the phone from time to time and even sends him photos of our daughter, but we both refuse to let him meet her. I know it must be hard on Mark since his father is the only parent that he has, but I honestly am grateful that we have put up a boundary of no contact with him. After the incident, I don't know if I would feel safe around his father ever again. Thanks for watching. Please like the video for the algorithm.